Hello, everyone. Good evening and good morning, good afternoon, depending on your location. Thank you for joining us today once again. It is another episode of our AI Gen series powered by the Azure Nigeria community. And today we are going to be looking at using AI for everyday tasks. And this section is going to be anchored by Promise Nwachukwu. Promise Nwachukwu is a regular expert in the community. He is currently an MVP, Microsoft Azure MVP, focusing on AI services and Azure infrastructure. I think I'm right, promise on that. So he's going to be speaking to us on this topic, on this unique topic, using AI for everyday tasks. Before promise even come on board, let's drop the location we are joining or we are watching us from. And don't forget that we are a community and we need to you need to be part of the community, mostly our WhatsApp group or LinkedIn and Meetup page to follow us. Maybe links will be shared along the line as the section is going on. So I'll be bringing up Promise now to take us through this section today. So he's right here. I Promise.
Hello, Mo. How are you doing today?
I'm cool, and you?
I'm doing great. How's everything
Yeah,
going?
fine. I hope your side is good, and you're doing great too.
Yeah, everything is going good at my end.
So yeah, so the audience now, I'm going to just speak to Promise about what inspired him about this topic using AI for everyday tasks. And I said that even when I saw these topics at the first time, I just picked interest because we all know that nowadays I personally use AI for my everyday tasks. Let me put it that way. So I'm a beneficiary of this particular topic. So I'm going to also be part of the learners and sit down and see the scenario that Promise is going to paint around to be able to make us to understand the topic very well. So, but before, would like Promise himself to tell us a bit more about the topic briefly before I go offline.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Interesting one, Imo. The topic itself is actually an interesting one because, I mean, I see, I see, I mean, referring to myself and at least observations from my colleagues and fellow friends, right? What we notice every day is that, there are like repetitive tasks that happens every day that we could actually reduce the amount of time we spend on those by having an AI help us do some of those tasks or help us refine the way we use those tasks,
Yeah, that's
right?
really great.
It goes on for me as a developer, right? Or will I say I'm a developer as a DevOps guy who, I deal with building codes, building pipelines for every or for infrastructures or for goals to achieve. A lot of the times I find myself, making use of copilots to get suggestions on how to build what I'm building. Um, Probably if there is like a better way to make my coding more effective, or maybe can you help me summarize this? Or I want to make a presentation or a discussion and I need a brief summary of that topic. And I'm like, oh, AI, can you help me do this? Or Copilot, can you help me do this? So I see the use of AI in almost every day to day task.
Yeah,
Now, but the thing is, I do this because I'm aware,
sure.
right? I'm aware about it and I make use of it. But the thing is, there's so many people out there not aware about some of these features.
Yeah,
And they don't know that some of these features that Microsoft Azure has provided can actually make their lives a lot easier, right? So, I mean, that is one interesting thing we want to do today. We want to
Mhm.
look at these awesome services provided to us by Microsoft Azure,
Okay.
the Copilot Studio, like the Copilot Studio, right? And
Yeah.
how can we make use of this in our day-to-day task?
Okay.
How can Copilot Studio or Azure AI service help us to reduce the amount of time we spend in trying to do a lot of things, and at the same time help us understand how these AI services work?
Okay. Thank you
I
very much.
think that is
That,
the idea or the goal of
yeah,
this particular session.
that was an awesome explanation. So I'll leave the floor for you now. All the best to your session. Take care.
Thank you very much, Imo.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, everyone. So, like we mentioned, we are looking at an interesting topic for today, and it's generally focusing about, or it's generally focusing on, how do we use AI for our day-to-day task, right? How do we use AI for our day-to-day task? On this session, we'll be also taking a look at the Microsoft Learn model for this, and we'll explore some of the beautiful things that we could actually uncover or discover, right? Because of the way AI is helping in the way we create, communicate, and we collaborate. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware about the existence of AI in recent times and some of the wonderful things AI has been doing, right? These days now, I mean, when it comes to presentations, there's an AI to do that. When it comes to some particular task you want to do, there's one AI that can help you do that. Well, how about we learn how Copilot and your Azure AI services tools can be used right in your everyday life, right? So, um, let's move on to the next slide. Now, before we talk about using AI in our everyday work, how is it, or what can we say is AI in everyday work? Right now, you will know that AI is generally revolutionizing the workplace, right? Because I mean, speak of any department in your workplace, and they are right now looking for how can we make AI to maximize or produce, be more effective in the work that we do, right? So AI can help us with automating repetitive tasks to save valuable time. It can help us with enhancing creativity with intelligent suggestions. And also it can help us with integrating seamlessly into familiar applications. Now, we know about the Microsoft 365 Copilot, right? And some of the capabilities it brings into like your MS Word, your MX Excel, and other apps which we use daily. We are going to see how this comes into play and how we can make them, help us simplify the way we work in our day-to-day activities. Now, just to explain a bit on this, with the new integration with the Microsoft 365 Copilot, almost every service you see owned by Microsoft has that coily icon telling you that, hey, there is Copilot available for this service. Now, the thing is that some of you don't even know how to make use of those Copilot tabs you see in each of the services. Now, any of the services you see where it says, oh, you see an integration of Copilot, it means that you can directly make use of Copilot to let's say get better actionable items from that service being offered. Along the line, I'll give you some instances and scenarios where this come into play. So right now we are looking at the overview of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And here, number one is the embedded assistant, right? Copilot generally integrates directly within familiar Office applications, and it generally helps you to sift through a lot of content and make you get, or helps you to get actionable items you can directly or closely work with, right? Now, in terms of content generation, creating designs, summarizing speaker notes based on your specific requirements and existing content, Copilot can help you with that. Also, with natural language, responding to conversational prompts like create a presentation about climate change, summarizes documents, all of these things can be done with Microsoft Copilot. And one thing you would also observe is that these are some of the things you do in a day-to-day basis, like having to prepare for some speech or for some presentation. You need to work on your Excel because you are probably doing some configurations in your Excel or your Microsoft Word, right? So with the Microsoft 365 Copilot embedded in some of these applications, it just helps you simplify or ease the rate at which you work if you know how to make use of these tools. Now, creating presentations with Copilot, right? So let's take for instance now we are looking at Copilot, and you're wondering, how do you make use of Copilot to create presentations? Let's demonstrate it, right? So you can see here, we can do an instant slide deck with Copilot, right? And say, create a 10 slide presentation on digital marketing trends, and then watch how Copilot generates this. So let's do this. So here we go to copilot.microsoft.com, and remember the task is, you what? Create a 10 slide presentation on digital marketing trends, right? So let's see. Create a 10 slide presentation on digital marketing trends, right? And let's see what Copilot does. Amazing. Now you can see the wonderful response um Copilot, right, has has done for us, right? So let's take a look into this. Now you can see here we have a 10-page slide already. Can you see? Look at this. Look at this. Right? So one of the things you can do is you can either copy this and put this in your slide, or you can actually decide to, yeah, look at what you can do here. You can copy them, you can share them. You can see, you can copy the link. Let's copy the link and let's put the link here. Let's see what happens. Okay, so what it does is it just gives us a link of the response. Let's see. Edit in page. Let's see what happens. Amazing, right? So, interesting thing is that it allows you to then edit this. So let's say you can edit this and add more points, right? Add add a platform, you know. So you can see you can edit this, and when you're done, you see you can click on this to copy this, to copy what you've done, right? And then you can decide to share, right? You can decide to share these pages. So that's the beautiful thing about this. Um, so in here now, we have seen how we can then create a presentation with Copilot, right? I think one of the interesting things we can do, or we should be able to do, would be downloading that into a presentation slide format. I think that would be an interesting thing. But let's see if we have those capabilities. Another thing again we can also do is professional formatting, right? Copilot can also help us format like styles, themes, branding across all slides, maintaining visual cohesion, right? Then we can also do visual enhancement, which generally gives us suggestions on images, icons, and layouts to make the presentation visually compelling and professional, right? So these are some of the things we can do with Copilot, right? Now you can see auto generate speaker notes, redesign Microsoft Designer, and quick content updates, right? So those are beautiful things you can do with um, the Copilot application. Now, for those of you that make use of um, let's say Copilot now in creating your presentations, what are the benefits of this, of doing this, right? One, you reduce the time you spend in typing, prepping for the presentations. The visual consistency is there, and of course stress reduction, right? You don't need to bother about so much work because AI does most of the work for you, right? Now, AI beyond presentations, everyday tasks. So you can, something you can do also is this: you can ask Copilot to draft responses, summarize long email threads, and suggest meeting times based on calendar activity. For data analysis, you can analyze complex data sets, create visualization, and identify trends with natural language queries in Excel, right? For also meeting enhancement, you can automatically transcribe discussions, generate meeting summaries, and track action items in Teams. So these are beautiful things you can actually do on a day-to-day basis that actually make use of AI services. Now, look at this, right? This is a practical example of how you can create a sales speech, right? How do you go about creating a sales speech, and how can AI help us to be able to achieve this task, right? So, step one is that you create a 5 slide sales pitch for our tech startup that specializes in AI powered customer service solutions, right? So we can take this, we can take this prompt and give to Copilot and see what it does for us, right? So it's a create a 5 slide sales pitch. So we can come here and say, create a 5 slide sales pitch. Create a 5 slide sales pitch, right? For our tech startup that specializes in AI powered, for our tech startup that specializes in AI powered, customer service solutions. So this is the prompt we are to use for this, right? So we can also okay, let's do this now. Let's run this prompt and let's see what Copilot does. So you see, these are the slides, right? These are the slides, and you can see how Copilot has helped us to build a 5 page slide of this, right? The next thing it says review generated content, customize, right? So you can review the content, you can decide to edit them, right? You can decide to edit them, like customize them to what you would like to have them be, right? So that's one beautiful thing about making use of the Copilot for activities like this. You are able to make them look as what you also want them to be, and then you can then decide to edit and then actually take to your slide, or you share them, right, with anyone you would love to. So that is how we have used the Copilot now to help us create a slide that can serve as a sales pitch, right? Now, some of the AI tools we we generally make use of, or in this case, the Copilot we make use in this case. Of course, you need to have like a subscription to be able to make use of this service, and then you need to learn how to write clear, specific, natural language prompts for better results, right? And at the same time, for integration, you need to be able to save files to OneDrive or SharePoint and enable auto save Copilot, auto save to ensure Copilot has access to your content. And of course, you can practice and refine as you choose, right? So now um, let's take a look into some of the tasks provided to us by the learning model, right? So you can see here where it says AI can help you what organize and plan your trip, right? So you can plan your trip, organize your calendar, plan an event, manage tasks, and all of these things, right? You can also see it as a personal assistant, right? Because one, it helps, it can answer questions for you, right, as quickly as possible to provide answers to these questions. It can also provide recommendations and help you automate your task, right? And now let's see what it says about what responsible AI. Now, let me play this video, and I'm hoping you should be able to hear this. Right, so you can see here, we've spoken about how you can actually build your models to ensure that they help in providing fairly what would I say, ensuring that the judgment call is fair and not biased, right? Also helps to protect your privacy and operate what transparency, right? This of course also helps to build trust and ensures that AI systems are used in ways that respect individual rights and interests. So it's depending on what you're fascinated about. Of course, then you can then apply your AI tools to those line of interest, right? So here, of course, this is what we're talking about: the ability for AI to be able to provide clear for you to provide clear and specific prompts, right? And also watch for common bias, which is gender bias, racial bias, or social economic bias. Now we are going to see what it's like to deal with or to write effective prompts so that the Microsoft Copilot can give you the best output of what you see. Now let's play this short video and see what it's like to create effective prompts. Awesome, 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 right? So we see how basically is referring to how to create effective prompts, right? Meaning that you need to be able to specify quite the context which you're working with for you to be able to create good, effective prompts. Now, we can also take a look at one, ability to rewrite an email, right? Also, you can also help it brainstorm. So look at this, right? These are ways which you can give prompts to Copilot that would help, to give you the desired result of your choice, right? So you can see here, let's take this for instance. I'm thinking about starting a weekly podcast. Can you help me brainstorm on a month's worth of episode ideas centered around technology, culture, and personal development? Each episode should cover a unique spot that would intrigue listeners. For each episode idea, provide a catchy title and a what brief outline of decision point. So you can see this is a well crafted prompt. Now, by the time we add this prompt to Copilot, let's see what it does for us. So now you can see it's giving us all the possible scenes. You know, you can see this, right? All the possible scenes you can see. So this is something you can always do to ensure that Copilot provides you with the accurate answers you are looking at, right? So, of course, like I said, Copilot is here to stay. Understanding how to make use of it to be able to achieve um, the amount of tasks you are looking to achieve, it's very, very important. Now, on to the next one, which is explore ways to use AI in your personal life, right? Of course, like I said, one of the things you can do is you can plan a trip. Where should you visit in the trip? You can take a walk or a marathon. Any one of your choosing is 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 fine, right? So you can see Copilot definitely would help you, give you suggestions on how you can achieve what you want to be able to achieve. So those are scenarios where Copilot comes in. Now discover ways to use AI at work. Of course, there are more ways to use AI at work, right? So let's see, look at this for Outlook. You say summarize the content of a large email thread, right? So these are some of the examples you can do, right? So let's see this. So um, let me open my Outlook here. This is just 1 minute. Good. So this is my Outlook, right? And let's say I want to load my email. I want to load my email. I want to let's see how good. So these are my email. I think there is always a co-pilot integration with some of these things. Let's see. Oh, okay. So what we have now is this. I would have thought there is already a Copilot integration with this. So apparently there is none at the moment because because of probably the way I'm actually accessing this. So it doesn't see this. So that's fine. But then again, in some of the applications, for instance, say um you go to, let me go to that, um let me go to that again, and let's see. Yeah, okay. I think I can do this from here. I'll see this. Okay, so let me try to do something from here and say office.com. Now you can see the first thing it does is, um, it brings up the copilot for us, right? Now also, depending on the application you want to pull, you can actually um, discuss with copilot based on that. So this time around, here is the copilot in action. Okay, I don't have it. Yeah, it's asking me to purchase this, right? I don't want to purchase at the moment. But if you have a plan that is, already in cooperation with Copilot, there are things you can actually do from your emails where you can ask Copilot to, um let's say, probably give you some actions items based on your email. You can ask you to summarize, you can ask you to do quite a number of tasks based on your email. So that's one interesting thing you can do with Copilot. Now, so same thing also with PowerPoint. You can turn a text heavy slide into a concise bullet point for greater clarity. It can also help you to rewrite a paragraph in a different tone or style, and of course, summarize meetings and chat threads. So these are various ways which AI can help us accomplish our day-to-day task, right? So now let's listen to this video to see how Copilot helps us in communication.
Hi, Prince.
Yeah.
The video is not audible from our end.
Oh, it's not audible from your end, right? Okay, so
Yes.
generally in this video, I would explain what is actually going on so you get to see, right? So you can see, so you can see here, you can then speak with Copilot, which will help you use your applications. So interesting. So you can see Copilot is generating this here. Good. You can see how Copilot is using creating things here. Now you can see so Microsoft 365 in play. So if you actually do have a paid subscription, it does help a lot where you can integrate Copilot to be able to, refine or help with your day-to-day task. One of the things you can also do is you can um, refine or generate very concise prompts that can help you in to be able to actualize what you need. So see in this place here where we are asking Copilot to generate 10 book recommendations for summer reading that focus on self-improvement and personal growth, right? We could, so in this sense, you could just do this here and come to Copilot and do this and watch Copilot begin to do its thing. So you can see here is the reading list Copilot has generated, right? Interesting things you can actually do with Copilot. Now, of course, it has, you can analyze, of course, the result is produced, check and see um, if the response actually does make sense to you, right? Um, Now we can do something, right? We can also update into we can also update the prompts, right, to be able to use the think deeper feature of the Copilot, the Microsoft Copilot, right? So we'll come here. This time around, instead of quick responses, we change it to think deeper, and then we put our prompts, right? And the prompt is simply, I'd like to dive into the central themes and motives of each book to understand the underlying messages and connections between the stories. And then let's see Copilot's response to this. So you see, it's thinking, because now we are not using the other feature, we are using the think deeper mode that actually thinks it does its research, and helps to accumulate all of this research into a particular piece, and then gives you a step-by-step guide on the answers, right? So you can see what it was able to do within that time, right? You can see it provides you actually with the 10 books, right? It provides you with 10 books. So this is something you can always do, or do, to understand how the Copilot actually does work, right? So um I think with this, we've been able to go through some of the interesting ways we can make use of Copilot for our day to day activities. One of the things I know I wanted to actually show you was how to make use of Copilot in generating like emails and stuff like that. But it's, let's say, fortunate or not so fortunate, because I don't have Copilot subscription here. So, I mean, if I try to create an email, I ought to be able to see Copilot in one of these if I have Copilot subs in my subscription. But because I don't see that option here, right? So, Copilot, if you are in a paid subscription, just like I said, you'll be able to see lots more of options to make use of, and how you can make use of Copilot to even draft emails to your colleagues or to your friends or to your bosses. So this is one awesome way to make use of Copilot. It's there are quite a number of interesting features, I would really say, with this. But I mean, with what we have discussed and how we have explained, I believe you understand how we can now make use of AI for our day to day activities. And you can imagine here, like it says, some interesting prompts that can be used. Copilot list 10 TV shows for weekend binge watching that are comedy and family friendly. So these are some interesting things you can as well do to understand how Copilot works and how it's able to, give you better and wonderful answers. So, I mean, at this point, I think we've done an awesome job. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the link to this activity here so that you can always go through if you would love to. So, yes, gonna paste the link here so that you can always go through. Yeah, so I have just shared it here, and I'm also going to share it here as well. So you can actually go to this page to understand and also do some practice yourself on how you can make use of AI on your day-to-day task. So this is an amazing one, guys. I would encourage everyone to make use of these features because trust me, Copilot is here to stay. Copilot is here to stay. So I think that is it for me, Imo. Um, yeah, I do hope you learned one or two things on how you can make use of Copilot
Thank
in
you very
any
much,
different task.
Ramesh. Thank you very much for spending your time to walk us through that use
You're
cases
welcome.
of Copilot and AI in
You're
general.
welcome.
So my final word to the audience is for them to keep exploring AI and also try as much as possible to humanize AI. Do not hand everything off to AI, but you must put in human effort to make sure that the result generated by AI is responsible, it is transparent, and it is also reliable.
Awesome.
So with that, they will be able to achieve their aim of using AI.
Like,
Thank you very much for that section, Promise, and we hope to see the audience next time. I think our next session should be in
yeah,
August.
should be.
So, yeah, thank you
All
very
right.
much,
Thank you very much,
Promise.
Wall.